Hey guys, tonight we embark on a journey unlike any other, slipping through the veils of time to a world that was, then wasn't, and then quietly, subtly, began to be again. Imagine, if you will, being a solitary figure, cloaked in the simple robes of a monk, not in a quiet monastery garden, but flung through the fabric of existence itself, to a moment long before recorded history, a time when the very bones of the earth were still humming from a great, terrible silence. You're waking up to the damp earth beneath your cheek, the scent of primal ozone lingering in the air, and a sky that feels both ancient and utterly new. Honestly, if this were real, you probably wouldn't survive the first 10 minutes, let alone build a life. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is there. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes, not to the familiar, comforting geometry of your cell, but to the sprawling, untamed chaos of a world utterly reborn. The air, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something indefinable, something wild and green, fills your lungs. It's a clean scent, scrubbed free of humanity's bustling grime, a profound, almost spiritual purity. You push yourself up slowly, your limbs stiff from a journey that defied all logic, all known physics. Your robes, a comforting weight, are now subtly dusted with an unfamiliar reddish soil. You look around, and the world unfurls before you like a tapestry woven by an unseen hand. The familiar landmarks, the distant city lights, the faint hum of civilization, all gone, vanished, replaced by an undulating landscape of towering, ancient-looking ferns and trees that reach for the sky with branches twisted like forgotten prayers. This isn't just rural. This is ... pre-rural. This is before anyone even thought of building a fence. A profound silence hangs in the air, broken only by the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant gurgle of unseen water, and the occasional, unfamiliar chirp or call of a creature you've never heard before. Your mind, trained in centuries of quiet contemplation, tries to process the sheer, overwhelming emptiness. No roads, no buildings, not even a faint wisp of smoke from a distant hearth, just raw, unfettered nature. You might even find yourself chuckling softly, a little burst of gentle humor at the sheer audacity of your predicament. Well, you might think, at least I won't have to deal with noisy neighbors. Though you might quickly realize, having any neighbors at all might be quite nice right about now. As you stand there, grounding yourself, you notice the subtle shifts. The ground itself feels different, almost softer, less compacted. The sunlight, filtering through the dense canopy above, seems to have a unique quality, a pristine clarity that suggests an atmosphere untainted by millennia of human industry. It's like stepping into a perfectly preserved, vast botanical garden. Only the gardeners here are continental shifts and geological forces. You might even spot a particularly robust beetle scuttling across a patch of moss, completely oblivious to the cosmic irony of your arrival. It's probably thinking, another Tuesday, another juicy bit of decaying leaf. You begin to walk, not with purpose, but with a monk's deliberate slowness, observing every detail. You pass by strange, bulbous plants, their leaves unfurling in patterns you've never seen in any botanical text. The rocks, smooth and worn, tell a silent story of unimaginable age. Mainstream historical facts, the kind you might find in a dusty monastery scroll, speak of early human migrations, of hunter-gatherer societies following game across nascent continents. But here, you are witnessing the raw, primal canvas before even those first hesitant brushstrokes of humanity. It's a peculiar feeling, knowing the grand sweep of what's to come, while experiencing the utter void of what came before. You stoop to pick up something odd, something that catches your eye. It's a small, perfectly smooth, cylindrical stone, almost too symmetrical for nature, yet too worn for any modern touch. It could be a simple river stone, or perhaps a peculiar fragment of a tool from the civilization that vanished. Historians still argue whether certain ancient out-of-place artifacts found in later geological strata were genuine anomalies or simply misidentified natural formations. Here, in this silent world, you are holding a potential answer to a debate that hasn't even begun to take place. A faint tremor runs through the ground, not violent, not alarming, but a deep, resonant thrum that seems to rise from the very core of the earth. It's a reminder that this world is alive, breathing, and completely indifferent to your arrival. You might even find yourself comparing it to a particularly enthusiastic temple bell, only this one is rung by the planet itself. The gentle humor of it helps to keep the initial bewilderment at bay. You are a solitary consciousness in a sea of raw, unadulterated existence, a silent observer in a world that has pressed the cosmic reset button. And as the sun begins its slow, unhurried descent, painting the ancient sky in hues of orange and purple, you realize the profound weight of your solitude and the quiet, immense task that lies ahead. The profound weight of your solitude, that quiet, immense task, settles not as a burden, but as a clarity, with no immediate demands save the instinct to survive. Your monastic training in mindfulness becomes your anchor. You breathe, you observe, you simply are. Your feet, accustomed to flagstone corridors and well-trodden paths, now seek purchase on uneven earth, thick with roots and damp with recent rainfall. Your robes, once a symbol of dignity and comfort, now cling, damp and heavy, occasionally snagging on unseen thorns or dragging through marshy patches. It's an interesting sensation, this new relationship with your garments. They are no longer merely clothing, but a testament to your past, a reminder of the world you left behind, now comically ill-suited for this primeval obstacle course. You might find yourself internally musing, perhaps the next iteration of monastic garb should include built-in gaiters, just in case one accidentally travels back to the Eocene. A faint smile touches your lips at the thought. As you begin to move, a natural instinct guides you towards higher ground, a silent understanding that safety often lies above the lowest, most vulnerable points. You push through dense foliage, the air thick with the buzzing of unseen insects and the sweet, earthy smell of decaying leaves. Every step is a conscious effort, a meditation in motion. The world here feels untamed, yet it hums with a vibrant, raw energy. You see plants with leaves the size of dinner tables, unfurling in slow, deliberate movements, their surfaces glistening with dew. Others sprout strange, luminescent spores, briefly catching your eye as tiny biological lanterns in the dim undergrowth. It's like walking through a dream, albeit one where your ankles are constantly at risk of being twisted. The sun begins to climb higher, casting long, dancing shadows through the canopy. You realize the pressing need for water. Your throat is parched, a subtle dryness that grows more insistent with each passing hour. Mainstream historical facts tell us that the pursuit of water was always the primary driver for early human settlements, dictating the course of migrations and the very fabric of nascent communities. Here, you are living that fundamental truth, stripped bare of all the comforts and conveniences of later civilizations. There's no tap, no well, not even a map, just intuition and the faint sound of distant trickling. You navigate by instinct, by the subtle shift in the air, by the greener, more lush growth that often signals the presence of a water source. You pass by strange, moss-covered monoliths, too perfectly shaped to be natural, too ancient to be familiar. They are like silent sentinels of the lost world, their surfaces now home to intricate patterns of lichen. A quirky, fringe tidbit might surface in your mind. Did you know some ancient cultures believed certain mosses were actually the petrified tears of forgotten gods? Here, seeing these silent, weeping stones, you can almost believe it. The sound of flowing water grows louder, a gentle murmur that guides you through a particularly dense thicket. You emerge into a small clearing, dominated by a gentle cascade, tumbling over smooth, dark rocks into a crystal-clear pool. The water looks pristine, inviting. You cup your hands, bring the cool liquid to your lips, and drink deeply. It is a simple act, yet profoundly satisfying, connecting you to the very pulse of this reborn world. You might even laugh softly to yourself, a relieved chuckle, as you contemplate the absurdity of a monk, once reliant on the purity of filtered monastery water, now trusting entirely in a nameless, primeval spring. You might think, the simple pleasures are truly the purest. As you rest by the water, you scan the surroundings with a keen, observant eye. You notice faint tracks in the soft earth near the stream, clearly made by something large, something with 3 prominent toes. Not a bird, not a bear, something ... else. Historians still argue whether early hominids coexisted with certain megafauna species, often relying on fossilized footprints to piece together these ancient interactions. Here, you are seeing a fresh imprint, a silent testament to the continued presence of life forms that should, by all accounts of your own time, be long extinct. You feel a thrill, a sense of wonder, rather than fear. The afternoon sun begins its gradual descent, painting the sky in fiery hues that reflect in the clear water. The gentle breeze carries the scent of damp earth and unfamiliar blossoms. You realize you need to find more permanent shelter, a place to spend the night that offers more protection than the open ground. This wilderness, though beautiful, is not benign. The constant rustle of leaves, the distant, unknown calls, serve as gentle reminders that you are an interloper, a guest in a realm governed by forces far older than any human civilization. You begin to look for the telltale signs of a suitable recess, an overhang, a cave perhaps, a place where the monastic peace you carry within might find a momentary echo in the primordial stillness. Your journey, it seems, has just begun. As the sun dips lower, painting the horizon with strokes of deep purple and fading orange, you intensify your search for shelter. The coolness in the air becomes more pronounced, carrying the subtle scent of damp earth and the unseen, rustling life of the forest. Your eyes, trained by years of careful observation, scan the rocky outcrops, looking for any natural indentation, any overhang that might offer respite from the elements. You are not seeking luxury, merely a humble refuge, a place where the pervasive quiet of the wilderness can settle around you without the chill of the night wind. Mainstream historical facts tell us that caves and rock shelters were humanity's first homes, offering protection long before the ingenuity of upright walls and sturdy roofs. Here, you are not just studying history, you are living its most primal iteration. After what feels like a patient eternity, your gaze falls upon a promising dark cleft in a towering rock face. It's unassuming, almost hidden by a curtain of hanging vines and a cluster of ancient-looking gnarled bushes. You approach cautiously, parting the thick foliage, and step inside. The air instantly grows cooler, carrying the faint, earthy smell of damp stone and something else, something ancient and undisturbed. The sound of your own breathing echoes softly, swallowed by the cavern's depths. This is no grand cathedral, no monastic cloister, but a silent, primordial womb of stone. It's perfect. Inside, the space is surprisingly dry, albeit uneven. The floor is packed earth, liberally sprinkled with small, smooth stones and the occasional fossilized leaf. You run your hand along the cool, rough wall, feeling the millennia etched into its surface. This is your temporary hermitage, a place to gather your thoughts and find a semblance of peace in this world that has utterly shed its past. You clear a small area, pushing aside loose stones and brushing away handfuls of dry leaves to create a rudimentary sleeping spot. It's not quite a feather mattress, but the simple act of preparing it brings a calming sense of order to the wild disarray of your new reality. You might find yourself comparing it to arranging your prayer mat before meditation, just with slightly more grit. The profound sense of solitude here is unlike anything you've known. In your monastery, you were alone, yes, but surrounded by the quiet hum of communal life, the distant ringing of bells, the knowledge of other souls. Here, there is only the vast, indifferent wilderness outside your stone refuge. Yet, there's a surprising comfort in this absolute aloneness. Your spiritual practices, once bound by set hours and communal rhythms, now flow freely, unbound. You sit in quiet contemplation, the darkness of the cave, an extension of your own closed eyes, the silence amplified by the subtle drip of water from a distant crevice. It's a purification of the soul, a stripping away of all but the essential. You ponder the ancient inhabitants who might have sought shelter in similar caves thousands of years before you. Perhaps they left their marks, their stories, etched into the very rock. You peer closely at the cave walls, looking for any sign, any whisper of a previous presence. And then you see it. Not a painting, not a deliberate carving, but a peculiar, almost iridescent glow in a patch of crystal formation on the ceiling. It's a quirky, fringe tidbit of geology. Certain mineral deposits, exposed to specific atmospheric conditions, can exhibit a faint bioluminescence, a natural glow thought feature. It's like finding a natural nightlight, only powered by geology instead of electricity. And it's far more calming than any flickering fluorescent bulb you've ever encountered. As darkness truly descends outside, you feel the cave envelop you in a silent, earthy embrace. The air, surprisingly still, seems to hold the very breath of the ancient world. You close your eyes, the rhythmic drip of water from deep within the cave, a soothing cadence. Historians still argue whether the earliest forms of human language were developed for communication during hunting, or for the telling of stories around communal fires in similar shelters. Here, in your quiet stone sanctuary, You wonder if perhaps language first emerged from the silent awe inspired by such a primal existence, a need to articulate the ineffable. You are living a language of silence, understood only by the wind and the whispering stone. The chill of the night air seeps in, but the stone walls hold a surprising degree of warmth, a testament to their deep connection with the earth. You pull your robes tighter, arranging them as best you can for warmth. It's certainly not your down duvet back in your own time. But there's a certain austere charm to it, a profound simplicity that cuts through all pretense. You might even chuckle softly to yourself, imagining trying to explain glamping to an early hominid, or indeed trying to explain Wi-Fi to the very rocks around you. The world has indeed pressed a cosmic reset button, and you are living proof. Your first night in this reborn world begins, wrapped in ancient stone, serenaded by the quiet, vast symphony of untamed nature. The need for sustenance will come with the dawn, but for now, there is only peace. The pale light of dawn filters into your stone sanctuary, a gentle invitation to another day in this impossibly ancient world. You stir, the cool earth your bed, the stillness of the cave a comforting blanket, while your mind is refreshed by a night of profound, unadulterated quiet. Your stomach offers a gentle, rumbling reminder of its needs. The philosophical musings of yesterday give way to the more immediate, primal urge for sustenance. Foraging for survival becomes the day's singular focus, a task as ancient as the world itself. You are, in essence, becoming one of the earliest food critics. Only your review system is safe to eat, or causes regrettable internal unpleasantness. Stepping out of the cave, the morning air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of dew-kissed leaves and damp soil. The vast, green expanse stretches before you, a veritable supermarket of the unknown. Your first challenge is immediate and profound. How do you discern the edible from the decidedly inedible? There are no familiar apple trees, no comforting rows of barley. Every plant is a mystery, every berry a potential gamble. Mainstream historical facts confirm that early human foraging was a dangerous game of trial and error, relying on passed-down knowledge, instinct, and a keen eye for patterns. You, however, are a monastic anomaly, dropped into this living laboratory with only your wits and a profound respect for life. You begin with caution, observing. You watch the small, quick movements of unfamiliar birds, their beaks plucking at crimson berries. You see plump, fuzzy insects congregating on certain broad leaves. A basic principle of foraging, even in your own time, often involves observing what local wildlife consumes. If the birds are feasting, you might murmur to yourself, "Perhaps I too can partake," though you quickly add, "unless, of course, these are particularly robust, iron-stomached birds who dine on things that would send me to an untimely, rather unmonk-like, demise." A little smile touches your lips at the thought of such a specific, time-travel-induced allergy. Your search takes you through a landscape of incredible botanical diversity. You encounter plants with leaves like velvet, others with thorns as long as your finger. You discover strange, fleshy fungi, their caps glowing with a faint internal light, a truly quirky, fringe tidbit of natural biology you've never before witnessed. These are not the humble mushrooms of your monastery's forest floor. These are luminous wonders. You might even find yourself reaching out to gently touch one, marveling at its soft, cool texture. While beautiful, wisdom dictates caution. Perhaps, you muse, beauty does not always equate to deliciousness, or, more importantly, safety. You learn to test a tiny nibble, a moment of waiting, sensing for any immediate adverse reaction. It's a slow, meticulous process, one that requires the utmost patience. You discover roots that, when scraped clean, yield a mild, starchy taste, small, sweet berries from a low-lying bush that provide a much-needed burst of energy. The satisfaction of each discovery is immense, a quiet triumph in this grand, silent struggle for existence. You are, in effect, becoming a living textbook on primeval botany, albeit one written entirely through personal experience. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows that stretch across the forest floor. You consider the broader historical debate. Historians still argue whether early hominids were primarily scavengers, hunters, or foragers, and how the proportion of each changed over time and geography. Here, you are living the pure foraging experience, an existence driven by the immediate availability of nature's bounty. You gather what you can, carefully, respectfully, understanding that you are merely borrowing from this abundant yet unforgiving pantry. As you wander, you might stumble upon a small, curiously shaped stone, almost perfectly round, with a smooth indentation on one side. It's too heavy for a projectile, too small for a grinding stone as you know it. Perhaps it was a tool, or merely a naturally eroded rock. You pocket it, a curious memento from a world beyond your comprehension. A small, tangible piece of a puzzle you are only just beginning to assemble. Your monastic vows of poverty have never felt so truly lived as they do now with your earthly possessions, limited to your robes. The time machine and a growing collection of edible and occasionally perplexing plant samples. It truly makes you appreciate the simple luxury of a bowl of monastery gruel. By late afternoon, your humble pouch, fashioned from a large, sturdy leaf and a bit of vine, holds a modest but promising collection of roots and berries. It's not a feast, but it's enough. As you make your way back towards the cave, the rhythmic rustling of the leaves and the soft calls of unseen creatures feel less alien, more like a quiet conversation. You are slowly, painstakingly, beginning to understand the language of this reborn world. The silence of the night will bring a time for reflection, but the light of dawn will bring a renewed search, a deeper exploration of the quiet echoes left by a civilization long, long gone. As your daily routine of foraging begins to find its rhythm, as the edible roots become a comforting familiarity and the safe berries a small, sweet reward, your mind, freed from the immediate pressures of hunger, begins to observe with a deeper, more contemplative gaze. You've learned the language of the plants, the sounds of the creatures, the subtle shifts in the wind. But as you move through the landscape, a new kind of whisper begins to reach your awareness, something that doesn't quite fit the grand, natural symphony of this reborn world. It's the faint, almost imperceptible echo of something else, something made. You might be trekking across a vast, rolling plain, dotted with ancient, moss-covered boulders, when your foot catches on an unusually straight line in the terrain. It's not a path, not a natural ridge, but a subtle, almost imperceptible rise. A faint scar in the earth that stretches for dozens of yards with an unnerving precision. You trace it with your hand, feeling the subtle difference in the soil compaction, the slightly firmer texture. Mainstream historical facts about archaeology often speak of crop marks, or soil anomalies. Subtle signs visible only from the air or through specialized instruments, hinting at buried structures or ancient field systems that lie hidden beneath centuries of sediment. Here, you are your own instrument, your monastic patience and keen observation the only tools. Further on, perhaps near a small, trickling stream where you've come to gather water, you notice something truly peculiar. The pebbles in the stream bed are, for the most part, naturally smooth and rounded. But nestled amongst them, you discover a handful of small, perfectly symmetrical crystalline fragments, glinting with an internal light that seems to uniform, to ordered to be purely natural. They feel cool and strangely smooth to the touch, almost like polished glass. Yet they are far more resilient than any glass you know. This is not the jagged edge of a broken rock. This is a fragment of something designed, something with purpose. A quirky, fringe tidbit might surface. Ancient texts, dismissed by many as mere myth, sometimes spoke of sunstones or light catchers used by long-forgotten peoples. You hold one such piece in your palm, and it hums with a faint, almost imperceptible energy. You spend hours, days, simply observing, piecing together these faint anomalies. You notice certain clusters of trees grow in unnatural, almost geometric patterns, their roots seemingly anchored to something unseen beneath the earth. There are strange, localized differences in the color and composition of the soil itself. Faint discolorations that suggest long-ago human activity, perhaps the residual footprint of an immense structure, or even a specialized agricultural process from a lost era. Historians still argue whether certain unexplained depressions or elevated areas in remote, seemingly untouched landscapes are purely natural formations or the incredibly subtle remnants of prehistoric human engineering, swallowed whole by the relentless march of geological time. Here, the evidence whispers not of simple tribes, but of a society that possessed a profound understanding of its environment, shaping it with a precision that hints at advanced knowledge. You might even find yourself chuckling softly, a little wry grin, as you contemplate the absurdity of your situation. Here I am, you might think, the world's most inadvertently qualified archaeologist, sifting through the Earth's laundry basket for clues about a civilization that presumably knew how to use a washing machine. The irony is palpable, yet utterly calming. You are not just surviving, you are beginning to read the faint, delicate script of a forgotten past, written on the very face of the reborn earth. The realization deepens with each passing day. This untouched wilderness is not as untouched as it first appeared. It is a palimpsest, a parchment that has been written upon, then erased by an unimaginable cataclysm, only for new life to bloom over the faint, enduring marks. The silence around you is not empty, it is pregnant with the echoes of a lost grandeur. You find a perfectly smooth, perfectly round stone, far too flawless to be a river stone, yet not quite fitting any tool you recognize. It feels cool in your palm, perhaps a counterweight, a decorative piece, or a component of some intricate mechanism. It's the ultimate antique roadshow discovery, only there's no road, and certainly no appraiser. As you collect these subtle pieces, perfectly straight line of discolored earth, a crystalline fragment, an oddly uniform pebble, a new purpose begins to solidify within you, one far grander than mere survival. This isn't just about your quiet life in a reborn world. It's about understanding the world that was. The echoes are speaking, faintly, patiently, and you, the solitary monk, are beginning to listen. The vast desolation is not empty, but filled with the ghosts of knowledge, patiently awaiting rediscovery. The subtle whispers you've begun to discern from the landscape, those faint echoes of a lost grandeur, coalesce into a profound realization. Your survival, while paramount, is no longer the sole purpose of your existence in this reborn world. A new mission, as clear and resonant as a monastery bell, begins to solidify within your being. Stripped of the structured duties of your former life, you find yourself forging new vows, not to an order, but to the very fabric of time itself. To record, to preserve, to understand. You are to be the solitary chronicler of a forgotten age, the unwitting bridge between a vanished past and a nascent future. It's a job description not typically found on any career guidance pamphlet, particularly not one for a monk. But here you are. The act of recording in a world without paper, ink, or even rudimentary carving tools becomes an exercise in profound patience and resourcefulness. You begin by seeking out flat, smooth stones, patiently rubbing them with damp sand to create a surface, a silent tablet upon which to etch your observations. Your fingers, once accustomed to turning the delicate pages of illuminated manuscripts, now learn the rough language of stone. You might use a sharpened piece of obsidian, a fragment of crystal, or even a hardened twig to scratch symbols, diagrams, and impressions of the strange remnants you encounter. Each line, each mark, is a meditative act, a deliberate imprinting of knowledge onto the unyielding face of this primeval canvas. It's a bit like trying to write a dissertation using only a blunt pencil and a very, very old rock. The preservation aspect of your mission is equally challenging. Any fragments of the lost civilization you find, those crystalline shards, those unnaturally smooth pebbles, the subtle lines in the earth must be protected from the relentless march of time and the elements. You become adept at finding hidden nooks within your cave sanctuary, natural shelves and dry depressions where these precious artifacts can be carefully laid. You might even discover a particularly hard, resinous sap from a native tree that, when applied to a fragment, seems to seal it, a natural varnish for your tiny, invaluable museum pieces. Mainstream historical facts remind us that ancient libraries and scriptoriums were vital bastions against the tide of oblivion, painstakingly copying texts to preserve knowledge. Here, your library is a cave wall, and your texts are the silent stories held within scattered fragments of stone and earth. But perhaps the most compelling part of your evolving mission is the deep, intellectual, and spiritual quest to understand. Why did the former civilization vanish? What cataclysm wiped the slate so clean that even its ghost is but a whisper? You spend hours in quiet contemplation, connecting the subtle clues, the unnatural lines in the landscape, suggesting immense structures, the strange mineral deposits hinting at forgotten industries, the very silence of the world speaking of utter destruction. You ponder the nature of cycles, of rise and fall, of the fragility of even the grandest human endeavors. Historians still argue whether the collapse of great civilizations is primarily due to internal strife, environmental pressures, or the overwhelming force of natural disasters. Here, in this reborn world, you are seeing the raw evidence of an answer whispered by the wind through primeval ferns. Your inner resolve deepens with each passing day. This mission gives structure to your solitude, purpose to your quiet life. You are not just a survivor. You are a custodian of memory, a sentinel of a forgotten past. The monk's discipline, the patience cultivated through years of meditation, the rigorous self-reliance, all these traits, once applied to the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, now find a new, unexpected application in the rawest form of historical detective work. You might even find yourself smiling, a gentle, ironic smile, at the thought of explaining your current archaeological methodology to a stuffy university professor from your own time. Yes, well, my primary field instrument is contemplation, and my carbon dating is based on the sheer feeling of ancientness. A quirky fringe tidbit you stumble upon further fuels your sense of purpose, deep within a particularly dense part of the forest. Near where you found more of those perfectly geometric crystalline fragments, you notice a specific species of fern, larger, more vibrant than any other that seems to grow only in these areas. It flourishes with an unusual luminescence, as if drawing energy directly from the residual footprint of the lost civilization. It's a silent, living marker, a botanical arrow pointing to where the past lies buried. You begin to map these spots, tracing paths that would lead you to more discoveries. Your new monastery is the entire reborn world, and its archives are etched into the landscape itself, patiently awaiting your monastic diligence. As the sun sets, casting long, peaceful shadows over your cavermitage, you carefully place a newly found, oddly smoothed stone onto your small collection. Each piece is a fragment of a giant, ancient puzzle, and you, the quiet, solitary monk, are beginning to fit them together. The vastness of your task does not overwhelm you. Instead, it brings a profound sense of peace. For you are no longer adrift in time, but firmly anchored to a noble cause, to record, to preserve, to understand, and perhaps one day to whisper the story of this lost world into the ear of a future yet to come. Your mission, to record, to preserve, to understand, becomes less abstract with each passing dawn, as you painstakingly etch symbols onto smooth stones and carefully store crystalline fragments. A new need emerges. The need for better tools. The blunt edges of chipped rock serve adequately for marking, but your hands, accustomed to finer work, yearn for precision. And so, your observations turn from merely identifying echoes to actively seeking out tangible remnants, fragments of forgotten technology that might have survived the Great Silencing. It's a treasure hunt. Only the treasure isn't gold, but knowledge. And the map is simply your evolving understanding of this ancient, reshaped land. You're becoming the world's most unlikely inventor, or rather, reinventor, with a monastic approach to reverse engineering. One afternoon, while patiently sifting through the silt of a long dry river beta, place where the whispers of the past often accumulate, your fingers close around something astonishing. It's a disc, no larger than your palm, made of a material unlike any stone or metal you've encountered. It's incredibly light, yet remarkably resilient, and possesses a subtle, almost iridescent sheen. When you hold it just so, angled towards the sun, it seems to drink in the light, then emit a faint, soft glow, not quite hot, but warm to the touch. Mainstream historical facts about early tool development highlight the painstaking process of discovering and manipulating materials, from shaping flint to smelting copper. Here, you are holding a fragment of metallurgy, or perhaps even something beyond that bypasses millennia of such development. It's like finding a microchip in a Neolithic cave, utterly baffling, yet undeniably present. You spend days, then weeks, experimenting with this disc. You try to scratch it, to bend it, to burn it. It resists all your efforts with an unnerving stoicism. But then, by accidental chance, you notice that when placed near a specific, rare, luminescent plant you've previously discovered, the disc's glow intensifies, pulsing with a gentle rhythm, almost as if communicating. This is a truly quirky, fringe tidbit, a material that responds to a specific biological energy. Perhaps it was a power source, a light source, or a communication device for the ancients, powered by the very life of their world. You find yourself pondering the silent dialogue between the disk and the glowing fern, a conversation you can only observe, but not yet comprehend. Well, you might muse, a gentle smile playing on your lips. At least, it's not trying to sell me extended warranty. The utility of these fragments slowly reveals itself. You discover a long, slender rod, seemingly made of the same light, resilient material, partially embedded in a rock formation. When you manage to extract it, you find its tip to be incredibly sharp, yet almost imperceptibly thin. It cuts through dense vines with surprising ease, a clean, silent slice, far superior to any sharpened stone. It's like discovering a laser pointer when all you had was a flint knife. This transforms your foraging, making the collection of tough roots and fibrous plants far less arduous. Your days become more efficient, your understanding of the lost civilization deepened by these tangible examples of their ingenious solutions. You also find curious, multifaceted crystals, unlike any natural quartz. When arranged in a particular way, perhaps by chance, they seem to amplify distant sounds, turning the faint rustle of leaves into a distinct whisper, or the far-off call of an unknown creature into a clearer resonance. You learn to place them, adjusting their angles, creating a sort of rudimentary auditory device. Historians still argue whether certain acoustic properties of ancient megalithic sites were accidental or intentionally engineered to enhance ritualistic sounds or communication. Here, these crystals suggest a deliberate mastery of sound manipulation, a quiet technology designed perhaps for deep listening, for understanding the subtle vibrations of their world. The quiet pursuit of these tools becomes a meditative practice in itself. You learn to listen not just with your ears, but with your hands, with your intuition, for the subtle hum of forgotten purpose in the world around you. You are, in a sense, trying to read an instruction manual written in a language of materials and properties, a language you're only just beginning to grasp. It's a process that makes you appreciate the simple clarity of a monastic chant, where every word has a defined meaning. Here, every artifact has a hidden meaning, patiently waiting to be unlocked. By the end of your day, your small collection of unique fragments grows. The glowing disk is a quiet companion, emitting a soft, ethereal light within the darkness of your cave, a technological nightlight from a forgotten age. The sharp rod rests beside it, a testament to efficiency and ingenuity. These tools from the past are not just objects. They are threads in the tapestry of your understanding, helping you weave together the story of a civilization that harnessed forces you can only begin to comprehend. They are a quiet, reassuring presence in your solitude, hinting at a complexity that both humbles and inspires. As your quiet days unfold, punctuated by the purposeful search for ancient remnants and the methodical recording of your findings, A new dimension begins to emerge in your solitude. The world, while reborn and beautiful, had felt largely unpeopled, a vast green canvas awaiting new inhabitants. Yet, as you venture further from your cave, following faint, natural pathways that seem to wind through slightly less dense foliage, you begin to discern subtle, yet undeniable, signs of other sentient life. Not the echoes of the lost civilization, but the nascent whispers of a new one. It starts with a faint wisp of smoke curling lazily above the distant tree line, then perhaps a series of rhythmic thuds, almost like distant hammering, only far cruder than any tool you've encountered from the past. Your heart, accustomed to the calm rhythm of solitary contemplation, quickens with a quiet, measured curiosity. You approach with the careful deliberation of a monk, not with haste or fear, but with a profound sense of observation. And then you see them, nestled in a natural hollow, near a river wider than any you've crossed, is a small encampment. Simple shelters woven from large leaves and branches, a flickering fire at its center, and the faint, earthy scent of wood smoke mingling with something else, something primal. Mainstream historical facts tell us that early human communities often formed around vital resources like water and shelter. Their dwellings rudimentary yet functional, reflecting a deep connection to their immediate environment. Here, you are witnessing that very beginning, raw and unadorned. Your first encounter is gentle, almost ethereal. You step into a small clearing, your robes so out of place, perhaps catching the light in a peculiar way. A figure, crouched by the water, suddenly looks up, their eyes widening. They are primitive, certainly, adorned with simple animal skins and perhaps some rough ornamentation, their faces etched with the marks of a life lived close to the earth. But their eyes, those ancient, human eyes, hold a flicker of both wariness and profound curiosity. You raise a hand, palm open, a universal gesture of peace that transcends millennia. You might even attempt a gentle, reassuring smile, though you suspect its subtlety is lost in translation. Greetings, you might try, the word feeling utterly alien in this silent, primeval air. It's a bit like trying to order a triple-shot latte from a person who has uninvented the wheel yet. The air crackles with unspoken questions. They are wary, these nascent humans, like forest animals, who sense something new, something profound, has entered their domain. Yet they do not flee. They observe you, perhaps mesmerized by your serene demeanor, your unusual garments, or perhaps, if you still carry it, the faint, internal glow of that ancient technological fragment you found. Communication, you quickly learn, is a dance of gestures. You point to yourself, then to them. You mimic drinking water, offering a silent request. They respond with pointing, with guttural sounds that are not yet language as you know it, but clearly convey meaning. You notice their tools, crude stone axes, sharpened sticks for digging, animal bones fashioned into simple implements. They are utterly, wonderfully primitive, a stark contrast to the complex, silent fragments of the lost civilization you carry. It's like comparing a child's finger painting to the intricate frescoes of a master, yet both hold a profound beauty in their respective contexts. A quirky, fringe tidbit you observe is their peculiar custom of weaving specific iridescent feathers into their hair, not just for decoration, but as if imbued with a spiritual significance. They seem to shimmer and subtly change color with their emotions, a silent indicator of their feelings, far more expressive than any modern facial expression. You spend a quiet few hours observing them from a respectful distance, and they, in turn, observe you. You offer a handful of the safe berries you've collected, a gesture of shared sustenance. They eye them suspiciously, then cautiously accept, tasting them with a primal hesitation that makes you chuckle softly. Historians still argue whether early human groups engaged in reciprocal gift-giving and trade purely for survival, or if it also served as a critical foundation for complex social bonding and the formation of wider networks. Here, in this simple offering, you feel the undeniable power of connection, a silent agreement to coexist. As the sun begins to arc towards the western horizon, you realize you are not just a chronicler of the past, but an unwitting witness to the very dawn of a new human story. These are the descendants, perhaps, of those who survived the great cataclysm. Their memories wiped clean, their path reset. They are curious, vibrant, and utterly unfamiliar, yet undeniably human. You learn that their sounds, while alien, carry intonation, emotion, the nascent seeds of language. You might even find yourself attempting a few simple vocalizations, a deep, resonant hum, hoping to bridge the chasm of time with sound. It's a rather peculiar conversation, certainly not one you'd ever expected to have as a monk. As you quietly retreat before nightfall, leaving them to their flickering fire, you carry with you a renewed sense of wonder. The echoes of the lost civilization are vital, but so too are these nascent voices, these living testaments to humanity's enduring resilience. You are collecting not just artifacts, but moments of connection, understanding that the story of this reborn world is not just about what was lost, but what is slowly, gently being rebuilt. Your gentle encounters with the nascent human communities, their wary curiosity mirroring your own, have deepened your understanding of the present, of life's enduring resilience. But your monastic purpose, to record, to preserve, to understand, pulls you ever deeper into the whispers of the old ways. The scattered fragments of advanced technology, those silent tools, offered glimpses. Now, the quiet promise of ancient texts, miraculously preserved against all odds, calls to you, hinting at a direct window into the minds and heart of the lost civilization. It's like discovering a hidden library, only the books are made of starlight, and the language is utterly alien. Your search, guided by instinct and the subtle energies you've learned to perceive, leads you to a secluded grotto, hidden behind a shimmering curtain of waterfalls. Inside, the air is cool and still, almost reverent, and there, recessed into the smoothed ancient stone walls, are what appear to be large, translucent panels. They glow with a faint, internal light, like frozen aurora borealis, their surfaces inscribed with intricate, flowing patterns that are clearly not natural. These are not paper scrolls, nor clay tablets. These are, you realize, with a silent gasp of awe, the books of the lost civilization, preserved by some forgotten technology that defies the very concept of decay. It's the ultimate cold case file, meticulously maintained over millennia. You approach with the reverence due to sacred texts. Your fingers, calloused from carving on stone, trace the unfamiliar symbols. They are not alphabetical, not pictographic in any way you recognize, but seem to be a complex array of overlapping geometric shapes and pulsating nodes of light. How does one begin to decipher a language that has no earthly parallel? Your monastic training in logic, in pattern recognition, in the profound study of abstract thought, becomes your guide. You begin by cross-referencing, holding one of the glowing crystalline fragments you found earlier against a panel. You notice a subtle resonance, a sympathetic flicker in the panel's patterns, almost as if the fragment is a key or a single letter in this cosmic alphabet. Days stretch into weeks, weeks into months. As you dedicate yourself to this monumental task, you discover that certain panels only activate or reveal deeper layers of information under specific conditions. Perhaps the unique angle of the moonlight at a certain lunar phase, or when touched by water from a particular spring, a truly quirky, fringe tidbit that suggests a profound, almost symbiotic relationship between their technology and the natural world. It's like finding a series of ancient tablet computers that only turn on when you feed them a specific type of moss. You find yourself spending hours observing the heavens, charting the moon's subtle dance, connecting it to the rhythmic pulsing of the panels. Slowly, agonizingly, the whispers begin to form a coherent narrative. You discern not just words, but concepts, images, projected directly into your mind's eye with a silent, profound clarity. These are not dry historical accounts, but living histories, perhaps even personal reflections. You learn of their deep reverence for cycles, the cycle of life, of planets, of civilizations. They understood the impermanence of all things, even their own grandeur. You see images of their cities, not towering monuments of defiance, but organic structures woven into the landscape, drawing energy from the very earth, powered by the rhythms of the planet. And then, with a chilling clarity, you begin to grasp the nature of the cataclysm that ended their world. It wasn't a sudden, external force, but a slow, inevitable, unbalancing, an internal disharmony with the very cycles they revered. A gradual drifting away from their symbiotic relationship with nature. A subtle disruption of the planet's delicate equilibrium. Historians still argue whether the decline of various historical empires was due to internal decay, external pressures, or a complex interplay of both. Here, you are seeing the first-hand account of a civilization that understood its own end, perhaps even accepted it as part of a larger cosmic ebb and flow. The profound impact of these revelations settles upon you like a cloak of deep knowledge. You are no longer just an archaeologist. You are a recipient of their final testament, a silent confessor of their rise and fall. You might even find yourself smiling wryly, a gentle, understanding smile, at the thought of all the scholarly debates back in your own time about what truly caused the fall of empires. Oh, if only they had a crystal tablet that projected philosophical documentaries, you might muse. The sheer elegance of their understanding, even in their demise, is breathtaking. You continue to return to the grotto, immersing yourself in these living histories, absorbing the profound wisdom of a people who embraced their end as a necessary transition. Each glowing panel, each pulsing pattern, deepens your understanding of this reborn world and your place within it. The silence of the grotto is filled not with absence, but with the vibrant, luminous wisdom of the lost civilization, patiently waiting for you, the solitary monk, to read their final, most important lesson. You are not just collecting fragments. You are gathering the very essence of their spirit, preparing to carry it forward into a new dawn. The profound whispers of the old ways, revealed in glowing panels and etched crystals, now resonate deeply within you, intertwining with the raw beauty of this reborn world. and the nascent humanity slowly stirring within it. Your quiet life, once a simple act of monastic solitude, has become a deliberate laying of groundwork, a silent sowing of seeds for a future yet to be written. You are no longer merely a survivor, adrift in time, but a conscious thread connecting disparate eras, a living bridge between a vanished past and a dawning future. It's a rather grand job description for someone who primarily communicates with rocks and occasionally attempts charades with early hominids. But here you are. You now understand the lost civilization, not just through their artifacts, but through their philosophy, their deep reverence for the planet's cycles, and their poignant acceptance of their own inevitable return to dust. The cataclysm, as the ancient texts revealed, was not just an ending, but a profound, albeit painful, reset, a cosmic cleansing. And you, the accidental monk, are present for the subsequent rebirth, witnessing the subtle, tender unfurling of a new beginning. You see the nascent human communities, their simple tools and developing languages, as the first fragile shoots from the old, buried roots, destined to grow again. Your cave, once a temporary refuge, has become a true repository, a quiet archive. The smooth stones you etched with symbols now tell stories. The crystalline fragments hum with forgotten energies, and the luminous panels in the grotto stand as silent testaments to a wisdom painstakingly relearned. You add new observations, not just of the ancient past, but of the vibrant present, the new constellations that appear in the night sky, the slow geological shifts that reshape the landscape, the subtle adaptations of flora and fauna to this post-cataclysmic environment. Mainstream historical facts remind us that throughout history, monasteries served as vital custodians of knowledge during periods of societal upheaval, preserving learning for future generations. Here, you are a solitary monastery, preserving knowledge not just for a dark age, but for an entirely new epoch. You reflect on the vastness of the eons, the sheer unimaginable scale of time travel that brought you here. The bustling cities of your own time, with their towering structures and endless chatter, now seem impossibly distant, almost ephemeral. This reborn world, by contrast, feels profoundly solid, anchored in an elemental truth. You might chuckle softly, a gentle, inward laugh, at the thought of explaining to your fellow monks the intricacies of a time machine, or the sheer philosophical weight of watching evolution unfold in slow motion. It certainly puts our monastic garden, with its humble herbs, into perspective, you might muse. A profound appreciation for the simple, enduring greenness of this world filling your quiet thoughts. Your understanding of the ancient texts also reveals a quirky, fringe tidbit, a recurring symbol, almost a sigil, that appears not just in their writings, but etched into naturally occurring, unusually resilient crystals found in specific, deep geological veins. These crystals, the texts hint, were believed to carry a residual echo of pure planetary energy, a subtle, constant vibration. You realize that the very place you found your first glowing fragment, near one of these ancient veins, was not accidental. These are not just artifacts, they are living reminders, charged with the very essence of the vanished world, patiently waiting to be rediscovered by those who can hear their silent hum. Historians still argue whether the true definition of progress lies in technological advancement, spiritual enlightenment, or harmonious coexistence with nature. Here, witnessing the cycle of a technologically advanced civilization that ultimately foundered by losing its harmony, and a new one slowly beginning its journey, you find your own answer. It's a gentle balance, a quiet dance between innovation and respect. Your presence here, your quiet mission, is to subtly nudge the scales, to lay the groundwork for a future that remembers the lessons of the past, not through grand interventions, but through the patient, persistent preservation of memory. The sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in soft hues of lavender and rose, a calming end to a day filled with quiet discovery. You are a sentinel of memory, a guardian of a wisdom too profound to be lost entirely. The echoes of the past, the stirrings of the present, and the quiet promise of the future now coalesce within you, creating a sense of profound, timeless peace. And now, as the last rays of light fade, and the world outside softens into the gentle embrace of night, allow your mind to drift. The ancient ferns outside your quiet cave are settling, their broad leaves whispering secrets to the cool night air. The distant calls of unfamiliar creatures become part of the night's symphony, a lullaby woven from the very fabric of time. Imagine the solitary monk nestled deep within his stone sanctuary, his mind a quiet archive of untold ages, his heart at peace with the vast, enduring silence. Let the subtle glow of the ancient crystal fragments in his cave cast a soft, ethereal light over your own space, a gentle reminder that even in the deepest stillness, knowledge endures and new beginnings always await. Feel the stillness settle around you, wrapping you in its comforting embrace. Your journey through forgotten times is complete for now. Just breathe deeply, gently. Let the sounds of the night melt away any lingering thoughts, allowing yourself to drift into a deep, peaceful sleep.